the South Cotabato Jail in the Philippines. One of the most overcrowded prisons in the world, and as of today, my new home. They say I tried to kill a cashier. Now I am locked up with potential drug dealers, rapists, and murderers.
It weighs on me to be here. This is the first time I've been in a place like this terrible.
The crazy thing is, everyone in here hasn't even been sentenced yet. Some of them have been waiting decades for their hearings. And the power in here is not with the guards, but rather the inmates.
All I think about is how I'm going to get out of here. It's so hard.
My name is Roni Lodumagwit, and these are my first days in prison. The Philippines, for many a paradise, especially for the approximately 8 million tourists every year. But sometimes things get brutal here, especially in our cities. People are working hard, and in our slums, you find lots of drugs, like marijuana, crack, and meth. Growing up here still feels like normal life most of the time. At best, the kids leave most of it behind. And at worst, they end up in places like this. The island of Mindanao, in the south of the Philippines. Specifically, Coronadal City. South Cotabato Jail, a microcosm with its very own rules. Here we go, my first day in jail. It all starts with them carting the new arrivals to the gates in a plain police van. Routine, I guess. I hear the prison's already overcrowded. No entry for all those who are out there running free. For me, the only way, after a whole 35 years of life on the loose. They're only putting me in custody, but that doesn't make it any better.
Why are you here?
Stabbing.
What happened?
It was at the grocery store with a woman.
Attempted murder.
I'm allowed to take a few clothes, but not much more. But that's not so bad. What's worse is, at South Cotabato Jail, many inmates wait months for their sentences, sometimes years, guilty or not. Drug dealer, murderer, none of that matters. Once you're in custody, you're in custody. All they can do is wait. And there they are. The other inmates.
He's staying here until his trial. How long that will take? We don't know either.
We don't know how long.
There follows a final check of the things I have with me, in front of more and more spectators. Already this is grueling. At least I get to keep some cash. Even if I still have no idea what it could be used for in there. Philippine prisons also have a jail photo, although not quite as pretty as in the many American series that you see so on TV.
I'm extremely nervous. I don't know what's going to happen now. It's the first time for me.
All that's left are a few last moments when I'm at least halfway alone. It quickly becomes clear. There must be over 1,000 inmates in here. The inmates behind bars seem to have little space and no privacy. It's time. I'm stuck in a prison that's bursting at the seams. First, apparently, I have to go through some kind of initiation ritual. I don't know if the guards made it up or the inmates themselves, nor who appointed this inmate a barber, what crimes he may have committed out there. In any case, he knows why he's doing this. And that's more than just wanting a prison haircut.
We're quite the hotheads. I want everyone to see that he's the new guy. If he has enemies, then they don't recognize him right away. That's how it goes with everybody at first.
Enemies who might attack in prison. Seems pretty funny to my fellow inmates. Not to me. I can't do anything about that. I'm here and these are the rules. Then they demand that I pay for the haircut myself, with the little money I have. And there's something else I notice. A man. He stays in the background. They call him El Presidente. I guess he's an inmate himself, but with more power than anyone in here. I guess it's only a matter of time before I run into him. Now I'm going to my new home, my cell. The guard brings me in, along with another inmate, the so-called cell leader. After a few seconds, the guard disappears. From now on, the leader alone decides when I may go outside, when I eat, and where I sleep. In a 25 square meter cell with 69 inmates. Seems like every rookie ends up in here first, whether it's a drug dealer or a murderer, just like the stranger next to me. They say it's one of the most crowded and hottest cells in the whole joint. Then our fellow inmates explain the rules to us.
If I were you, I'd line up properly. Just wait. I'm going to explain to you the rules in this backwater jail now.
It's my first day in the South Cotabato Jail in the Philippines. Most of the inmates are in just 2 buildings, built for about 600 inmates. Now there are about 3 times as many. Some seem to be sick. After that, the cellkeeper shows me my place.
Get up there. As the new guy, you sleep up there.
It's the stiffiest place you can imagine. Way up in the corner, that's where the heat builds up the most. Everything smells of sweat.
It's extremely tiring to sit here. It's my first time in a place like this. Terrible.
For newcomers, it means first. 15 days, almost the whole time in here. Until then, the best distraction is a crappy TV picture and a tiny fan to survive the extreme heat. I'm only allowed out in the daylight if my cell leader says it's okay, and only if he goes with me. There are strict rules, and the rules apparently make El Presidente. You notice it at the evening roll call, the big count. At 4 o'clock in the afternoon, nearly 2,000 prisoners line up. There's no sign of the guards. They're being taken over by prisoners, probably henchmen of El Presidente. They have batons. The prison hierarchy is gradually becoming clearer. The guards stay out of as much as they can. They use inmates to do their jobs, and probably pay for it with privileges. Guards I detect only on prison walls and towers, about 20, I guess. They have a good view of us from up there. Also, there are quite a few cameras in jail to monitor everything. Only when everyone is out do they come down to check that no one has escaped. Everyone has to line up, including me. Everybody's still here, and already the counting is over. Time to get a better view of the new home. About South Cotabato Jail, a tough-as-nails remand prison in the Philippines. I already know the 2 overcrowded buildings with a good 1,500 prisoners to some extent. I have also heard of the 150 or so inmates locked away. Some of them are in solitary confinement, the so-called punishment cells. The oldest inmates are in a separate building. So are the women. By now, I also know where the prison kitchen is. There's also a prayer room and the visitors area. Once a week, relatives and friends are allowed in. All this is monitored by the guards from their 5 towers. But what feels much more important right now? Food. I don't think there's any more today. The order is back to the cells. At the latest now it is clear. At the top are the guards. Below them, El Presidente and his aides, the so-called marshals. Then come people like the cell guards. And at the bottom are rookies like me, Roniel. He's in custody for attempted murder. It's almost as bubbling in here as it is out there in freedom. Every drinking bottle can quickly become a weapon. Brawls, escape attempts, hunger strikes. There have probably been several of these in this prison. Today, at least, it remains quiet. And the first night falls. For the next 12 hours, all prisoners are locked in their cells. Now everyone is fighting for space, for enough air to breathe. There is no food or water in one of the most overcrowded prisons in the world. The guards have only one task left: lock up and leave the cell blocks. All I can do is try to sleep. It's incredibly hot. I can't breathe. It's claustrophobic. I don't know how I'm going to make it at all. As night falls, varts drift away. After all, it's not just normal life that's waiting out there. There's also a wife and 4 children. It all feels incredibly far away right now. The next morning, probably one of many to come. There are hundreds of thousands of cases still pending in the Philippines. I don't think anybody's gonna wake up in custody feeling better. The night was hot and long. I actually didn't sleep at all. I was thinking about my family the whole time. And that she's out there alone now, without me. And even if this sounds totally banal in comparison, already now the power is running out. It's time to eat something. But first it's roll call again. Line up, kneel down, as each of the following days, months, maybe even for the next years. Waiting without knowing what is coming. This applies to all men and women. They're in the wing next door, mostly for drug abuse and prostitution. Sex tourists traveling to the Philippines like to book women as so-called girlfriends, often for a few weeks or months. Many women hope that a real relationship will develop from their time together, that the rich foreigner will lift them out of poverty, but this happens quite rarely. The hope of escaping poverty with quickly earned money then ends, among other things, here, in jail. After all, they cook their own food. They move about freely. Make jewelry. Do their laundry regularly. And above all, as far as I know, they don't have El Presidente, who controls everything around the clock. 9 o'clock in the morning, breakfast, my first full day in jail. I finally get to eat. Even if I can't choose what, at least my cell guard puts me pretty far up the line. It's a busy place. Everyone gets the same. A bowl of rice with vegetables. The next meal is supposed to be in 7 hours. I don't know if that's true. In any case, all this is already like an eternal cycle. At least I can move around freely during the meal break for longer than before. And I see that there are also male prisoners who cook their own food. How do they get that privilege? In any case, they may use sharp objects and knives. No one seems to ration their portions. Some of them even raise chickens. Of course, all of this is done under the supervision of the marshals. Seems like the inmates get their privileges from El Presidente. Maybe it wouldn't be so bad to meet him in person. A little later, it's back to the cell and vegetate. Everything feels like a treadmill. And I haven't even been here a whole day yet. There is unfiltered groundwater to drink. Better than nothing. But we have average temperatures of 35 degrees Celsius in the Philippines. It's easy to catch diseases like tuberculosis. That's why the sick are locked up immediately. An epidemic in here would be bad.
I feel unwell. I suddenly feel weak. And when I eat, I have no appetite. My whole body feels cold. I don't know if I have a disease.
At least I get to wash a little later. A few days ago, this was completely normal. Now it feels like a privilege. Just like a little time to yourself. At least as long as you don't look to the side.
I'm miserable. Everyone's looking at me. It's weird.
Close your eyes for a moment. Then, at the latest, it becomes clear that no one is ever really alone in here. Not for a second. About 1,500 inmates are always by your side. I don't get to choose. This is my new family. And El Presidente somewhere around me, 24/7, no matter what I'm doing. With an average income of $8 per day, the Philippines is one of the poorest countries in the world. Little access to education, malnutrition, extreme population growth that shapes the lives of many people here. Even though most of them are out there in freedom, unlike us here in prison. Little by little, at least, I'm getting to know my fellow inmates better. But how am I supposed to know who I can trust? At least I can give them a chance. Compared to the bathroom, that's in the far corner of the cell. Who wouldn't be humiliated to go to the bathroom in there with everyone watching? In a few days, this will probably be the most normal thing in the world. flip-flops and slippers. I guess a lot of people out there associate that with freedom. But even in here, I've seen something like free inmates. They enjoy fresh air during the day. Or sports like volleyball or basketball to let off some steam. And they have board games. It doesn't matter that the pieces are just bottle caps. That's all some of us had when we were kids. The big question is still, how do you get privileges like that in here? I guess it's time to find out, even if I don't choose it myself. The cell guard is taking me to a meeting with El Presidente.
Come here. Over here. Two of you.
Our two newcomers. Look over here.
What's your name?
Ronilo Dumagwit.
Rogelio.
Louder.
Ronilo Dumagwit. Where are you from?
From Tupi?
El Presidente has been in South Cotabato Jail for 13 years, and he comes from a wealthy family. I don't know if that gives him his special status, but I think he took his chances.
We have rules here, and you have to abide by them. Clear.
Yes, sir.
You respect me and do what I or the marshals tell you, then you will be fine.
So you really only get more wealth in here if you obey him. By the way, his real name is Gletcheriot Pedro. That's what El Presidente means in life out there, in the free world. Officially, he's one of us, a prisoner in custody, but that's the only thing he has in common with me. Because El Presidente has more freedom than anyone else, and he's got money. He probably uses it for all kinds of bartering inside the prison. And even raises chicks in his single luxury cell. He's got everything. Not just his own rice cooker. El Presidente also has his own cell phone, a comfortable bed, and a TV. Even hygiene stuff, and a fan all my own. All things that are unimaginable for me in here. Meanwhile, we're outside getting our hands dirty. I'm on cleaning duty in a prison in the Philippines, where about 70% of the children grow up without parents. At some point, many try to make money in the big city.
They're out here, then locked up inside.
Some become criminals and end up here.
At least I am outdoors and can move around, even if the work is humiliating.
In the process, I learn even more about prison. For example, about the so-called greyhounds. That's what they call the searches. Nobody knows when they take place. The inmates fear them. About once a month, the guards search cells, frisk everyone inside. They are looking for contraband from the outside.
You just stay there.
Okay.
Okay. One at a time. Come on. Get out. Get out. Come on. All of you.
If they catch someone, they punish them. Most of all, the guards look for knives and other weapons. Anything that, at worst,
Come in. Come on in.
can kill anyone in here, even rookies like me. But there are more things. Mobile phones are also in great demand.
It's a cell phone.
One always wonders how involved Del Presidente is in all of this. Which inmate is a friend, or informer, or enemy?
Whose is this? Does it have a password?
No.
Let's have a look then.
No, I love you too.
Don't assume that we're fine now.
Okay, let's rest and sleep now. Kisses.
I'm not quite sure, but I think he lives in this cell.
We're checking it out.
I don't know what kind of punishment you get for something like that. Probably solitary confinement, and the rules are strict. It's not just cell phones that are banned in the cells. The guards also confiscate very simple things, like spoons. I'm almost done scrubbing. Just a quick wash, then it's back to the cell. Slowly, you get used to the routine. The other inmates are looking forward to breaking out soon. Visiting day is coming up. Once a week, relatives and friends are allowed to come. So for once, for many in here, the next few hours almost means something like hope. For a piece of the world, out there somewhere, the rest of the Philippines, a country where about a quarter of the people live in poverty. They say just as many children are malnourished, and our president is still waging his war on drugs. All this makes life pretty complicated. I'm sure some would say that out there is the XXL version of my prison. And most in here that it's a lot worse in jail. Every bit of freedom costs me money. And I don't have much left. Yet I spend it on what hardly anyone in the world would call a luxury. Fresh air and
How about you give him some room?
pay for a seat. For some time to think in peace.
Let him sit down. More.
I can't stand it here. I can't stand all these people. Inside I can't breathe, and out here I'm not myself. And it's all because I messed with a cashier.
An argument with a cashier. Money. Her boyfriend. A knife. Offense and defense. That's my version of the story.
I wish none of this had happened. In the future, I would never react like that again. I have a family, and whenever I think about them, I wonder why I fought back. Why I didn't just let them kill me. I have no idea how I'm going to survive here.
As I sit here, visiting hours are beginning. All inmates who have visitors are allowed in their own wing. 3 hours every Saturday. Not me.
Sir, I have 2 new visitors here for registration.
The government calls this day an accommodation for the long wait for trial. With all this, the guards seem stressed. I guess it's hard to really search everything. The cell phones have to come from somewhere in here. The supervisors not only monitor everything very closely, they also frisk every visitor from head to toe. At the latest, now it becomes clear. Without help from outside, life in here is hard to endure. So at least once a week you get better food, new clothes, and much more.
Good morning.
But above all, a piece of normality, even if it's just a quick family picnic behind a fence and walls. Hard to say if I'll ever see it. In any case, I could use the favor of El Presidente. He and his marshals even control the visiting room. I guess you just have to work your way up in here, just like on the outside.
The other bed is sitting on a branch.
Years of pretrial detention without knowing what's coming. Freedom is a precious commodity these days. And seems further away than ever. The only thing you can buy a small piece of that with, besides play by the rules, is simply money. As soon as visitors' day is over, everyone flocks to the little shops in the jail. Fresh water, cigarettes, even phone calls to the outside world are allowed. Better food there, the rich inmates get sleared what it takes to enjoy a piece out there. The poor inmates have no choice but to drink dirty groundwater, while the others leave their money at the barbers. But all that is not so important at this moment. I'm wondering when I'm going to see my family again, if they will even be able to make ends meet.
My family is having a hard time taking care of our crops right now because no one is helping them while I am here in prison. In our neighborhood, no one is helping my family. That's why my wife wants me to get out of here, so that there is someone to help her take care of our crops. We are just poor people. That's why we grow vegetables.
Of course, I hope my wife comes to visit soon. Until then, I can't do anything except enjoy my paid minutes on the bench until the clock runs out. I'm back in my cell, vegetating, waiting for the night to fall. Meanwhile, more and more say the country has mutated into a secret police state, fearing being killed. About 1 million drug dealers have turned themselves into the police, voluntarily. Since then, prisons have been bursting at the seams. I'm in the middle of it. And in the morning hours, it's just day 3. One of maybe thousands.
I can get used to it, but the situation is hard to bear. I can't sleep. I can only breathe. When I am out here, I can go where I want, but still here I am trapped in this place. And most of the time I'm inside waiting for nothing.
That's what it's like in the Philippines when you're in custody for attempted murder. Every day, I wonder what kind of person I'll be when I get out of here. I don't know, and I don't know when that's gonna be. Probably everyone adapts in here sooner or later. Freshmen are almost always outsiders at first, but eventually, most of them become like the others. Then at least you're one of the many. And there's at least a little hope that there's something in here, too, like friendship. In fact, I haven't seen any violence since I've been here. No fights, no stabbings. I guess most of them have only one goal: to hold out until they are eventually out.
It's difficult here. If you're not used to this kind of life in prison, it's really hard. You start thinking dark things very quickly.
Pagkahirap talaga nito, ma'am.
Just because it's so stressful.
Mabuting pagtulog dahil mahirap talaga.
It's mostly the uncertainty that's scary, that I don't know how long I'll be stuck in here, and the daily struggle not to forget the really important things.
Nasisip ko, ma'am, gusto ko makalabas dito.
I think a lot about how to get out of here.
Gabi-gabi ginadasal ko yan sa Panginoon na makalaya ako dito, ma'am.
I don't even think about my family anymore.
Dahil lahat kami dito na nangangarap.
It's always this one thought in my head. Get through it. As soon as possible.
Makalaya lang gusto mo.
I wish I'll just get through this whole thing.
Dahil sa sobrang hirap.
My first days in jail end, and probably the worst time of my life, is just beginning. A life behind bars, in one of the toughest prisons in the world. So slowly, it doesn't matter what time it is, what day it is, maybe even someday, what year. Soon, it might not even matter if they convict me of attempted fashions or not, as long as there's a verdict, and with it, a chance at a future. That's how you live here in the Philippines. South Cotabato Jail. A completely overcrowded prison with 3 times the number of inmates than planned. With guards who have their jobs done mostly by inmates. Where you need money to make ends meet. The favor of the most powerful inmate of all, El Presidente. And where no one has any idea when he'll be out again. In freedom,